Years had passed since the war ended, and Earth was no longer the same planet it once was. Humanity had rebuilt its cities, healed its wounds, and embraced a new chapter in its history. The scars of the past remained. Memorials stood as reminders of lives lost, and stories of bravery were passed down through generations. But the focus had shifted to the future. Earth was ready to step into the stars. Ethan Carter found himself standing on a hill overlooking a thriving colony on Mars. It was humanity's first permanent settlement beyond Earth, a testament to how far they had come. The red soil stretched endlessly, dotted with domed habitats, greenhouses, and towering solar panels. Children played outside, their laughter carried by the thin Martian air, while engineers worked on expanding the outpost. Ethan felt a deep sense of pride as he watched it all unfold. The technology recovered from the aliens had accelerated humanity's progress in ways no one could have imagined. Faster-than-light engines allowed ships to travel vast distances in days instead of years. Advanced medical treatments cured diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. Energy sources powered entire continents without harming the environment. But more than anything, the war had taught humanity the value of unity. Nations worked together, sharing resources and knowledge to ensure no one was left behind. Samantha Brooks had retired from active duty, but remained an influential voice in shaping Earth's role in the galaxy. She often spoke about the importance of peace and cooperation, urging humanity to approach other civilizations with caution, but also kindness. "We proved we can defend ourselves," she said during one speech. "Now let's prove we can coexist." Maria Lopes continued her work, though her focus had shifted. Instead of hacking alien networks, she now designed systems to communicate with distant worlds. Her goal was simple: to reach out, not with weapons, but with words. Slowly, signals began returning, messages from civilizations curious about humanity's story. Some were cautious, others intrigued, but none hostile. For the first time, Earth wasn't just surviving, it was connecting. Back home, Jake Harper visited schools to share his experiences. He told children about the war, not to glorify it, but to teach them the lessons it had brought. "We won because we worked together," he said during one talk. "No matter where you're from or what you believe, we're all part of the same family. And when we stand united, there's nothing we can't do." Even ordinary people dreamed bigger now. Artists painted visions of alien landscapes, writers crafted tales of interstellar adventures, and scientists proposed bold missions to explore uncharted regions of space. Humanity's imagination knew no bounds, fueled by the knowledge that they belonged to something greater than themselves. As Ethan gazed at the Martian horizon, he thought about the journey that had brought them here. From the dark days of invasion to the bright promise of exploration, humanity had transformed itself. They had faced fear, loss, and uncertainty, but they had also discovered strength, courage, and hope. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was a beacon of resilience and possibility. The galaxy was vast, filled with mysteries waiting to be uncovered. Humanity didn't know what challenges lay ahead, but they were ready to face them. Together, they had proven they could overcome anything. As Ethan turned to leave the hilltop, he glanced one last time at the stars. Somewhere out there were countless worlds, each with its own stories and struggles. And now, humanity was part of that tapestry, a force to be reckoned with, yes, but also a voice of compassion and understanding. The war had changed everything. But in the end, it hadn't just been about survival. It had been about growth, about becoming something more. Humanity had stared into the abyss and emerged stronger, not because of their weapons, but because of their heart. And as they reached for the stars, they carried that heart with them, ready to write the next chapter of their story among the cosmos. Months passed since the alien fleet departed, leaving Earth to pick up the pieces. The planet was scared, cities lay in ruins, fields were scorched, and millions of lives had been lost. But amidst the devastation, there was also hope. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged stronger than ever before. Now, The hard work of rebuilding began. In Colorado, Ethan Carter returned to his research facility, though it looked very different now. What had once been a quiet lab filled with telescopes and computers was now bustling with activity. Scientists from around the world gathered there to study the alien technology handed over as part of the treaty. Every day brought new discoveries: energy sources that could power entire cities, medical devices capable of healing wounds in seconds, and engines that promised faster-than-light travel. Ethan worked tirelessly alongside his colleagues, knowing these advancements could change the future of humanity forever. Meanwhile, Samantha Brooks focused on uniting Earth's nations to ensure such a catastrophe would never happen again. She traveled the globe, meeting with leaders and encouraging them to maintain the alliances forged during the war. "We stood together against an enemy," she told them during one speech. "Let's keep standing together, for peace, for progress, and for our shared future." Her words resonated deeply, and slowly, a new era of cooperation took root. Ordinary people played their part too. Jake Harper spent long hours in his workshop, using salvaged alien tech to build tools and machines that helped farmers restore their land. His innovations not only improved crop yields, but also inspired others to think creatively about solving problems. In schools, children learned about the war, not just the battles, but the lessons it taught about resilience, teamwork, and compassion. Teachers emphasized the importance of unity, reminding students how humanity had triumphed by working together. Even Maria Lopes found herself celebrated as a hero. Her hacking skills had turned the tide of the war, and now she used her expertise to strengthen Earth's defenses. She developed systems to monitor space for potential threats, ensuring humanity would never be caught off guard again. When asked about her role in the victory, she simply smiled. "I did what anyone would have done," she said. "We all played a part." As cities rose from the ashes, so did humanity's spirit. Memorials were built to honor those who had sacrificed everything, while festivals celebrated survival and renewal. People danced in the streets, sang songs, and shared stories of bravery and sacrifice. There was still pain, still grief, but there was also joy, determination, and a sense of purpose. Yet, questions lingered. What came next? Would humanity seek revenge someday? Or would they extend forgiveness and forge alliances? Some argued for exploring the stars, reaching out to other civilizations in search of friendship. Others believed Earth should focus inward, strengthening itself before venturing beyond its borders. These debates raged in classrooms, coffee shops, and government halls, reflecting humanity's endless curiosity and ambition. Ethan often thought about this as he gazed at the night sky. He wondered if the aliens regretted their decision to invade Earth, or if they saw humanity as a lesson learned. Whatever the case, he knew one thing for certain: humanity was no longer alone in the universe. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and dangers alike, and Earth now had a place within it. One evening, as Ethan walked home from the lab, he passed a group of children playing outside. They were pretending to be astronauts, building makeshift rockets out of cardboard boxes and dreaming of distant planets. Their laughter echoed through the cool air, filling him with a quiet sense of pride. Humanity had survived the worst, and now it dreamed of something better. Back at his small house, Ethan sat by the window, staring at the stars. For the first time in months, he allowed himself to feel truly hopeful. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but humanity had proven it could overcome anything. Together, they had fought for their survival, and won. Now they stood ready to take their first steps into the unknown, carrying with them the strength, wisdom, and heart that had carried them through the darkest days. The galaxy had underestimated Earth once. It wouldn't make that mistake again. Samantha Brooks and Ethan Carter sat in a makeshift command tent, surrounded by maps, screens, and notes. The weight of the decision rested heavily on their shoulders. Outside, the desert stretched endlessly, silent and still, as if holding its breath. Inside, the air was thick with tension. They knew the choice they made would define humanity's place in the galaxy. "We have them on their knees," Samantha said finally, breaking the silence. Her voice was calm but firm. They're begging us to stop. If we push further, we can finish this. Ethan shook his head slowly. But at what cost? He replied. We've already lost so much. Cities destroyed, families torn apart. Do we really want to keep fighting until there's nothing left? Maria Lopez, who had been quietly listening, leaned forward. It's not just about us, she added. If we let them go, it sends a message. We show the galaxy that humanity is strong, but also merciful. That might be more powerful than wiping them out. The three of them fell silent, each lost in thought. They knew the aliens' offer wasn't perfect. Reparations and promises wouldn't undo the damage already done. But destroying the invaders completely would come at a price, not just in lives, but in humanity's soul. Revenge could turn Earth into something it didn't want to become. After hours of discussion, they reached a decision. Samantha stood up, her expression resolute. We'll accept their surrender, she said, but on strict terms. They leave our solar system and never return. They dismantle their weapons and hand over technology to help us rebuild. And they admit their mistake publicly, to their own people and to ours. Ethan nodded in agreement. It's a chance to start fresh, he said. Not just for us, but for them too. The negotiations resumed under the scorching sun. Zorath and his delegation listened intently as Samantha outlined the terms. There was no room for argument. Humanity held all the cards. Reluctantly, the aliens agreed. Their pride was shattered, but survival mattered more. They signed the treaty, a formal document marking the end of the war, and promised to honor its conditions. News of the agreement spread quickly across Earth. Reactions were mixed. Some celebrated the decision, relieved that the fighting was finally over. Others felt anger and frustration, believing the aliens deserved harsher punishment. Jake Harper watched the coverage from his workshop, where he was repairing a damaged hovercraft. His wife, Sarah, stood beside him, arms crossed. Do you think it's the right call? She asked. Jake sighed, wiping grease from his hands. I don't know, he admitted. Part of me wants to see them pay for what they did. But another part, maybe it's better this way. Holding on to hate won't fix anything. In cities around the world, people gathered to mourn those they had lost and celebrate those who had fought. Memorials sprang up, honoring soldiers, scientists, and ordinary citizens who had contributed to the war effort. Teachers spoke to students about resilience and unity, emphasizing how humanity had come together in its darkest hour. Even children played a role, creating art and stories to remember the conflict and the peace that followed. As the alien fleet prepared to leave, Zorath addressed his troops one last time. His voice lacked its usual confidence, replaced by a tone of regret. We underestimated Earth, he told them. Their strength isn't in their weapons or technology, it's in their spirit. Remember this lesson, because it may save us someday. Back on Earth, Ethan stood outside the command tent, gazing at the stars. He felt a mix of emotions, relief, sadness, and hope. The war was over, but the scars would remain. For years, perhaps forever. Still, humanity had proven something important. It could face unimaginable odds and emerge victorious, not through cruelty, but through courage and compassion. Samantha joined him, standing quietly for a moment before speaking. What happens now? She asked. Ethan smiled faintly. Now, he said, we rebuild. And then, we move forward. The galaxy had seen humanity's strength. Now, it would witness its heart. The alien fleet was in disarray. Zorath, once a proud and commanding leader, now paced the bridge of his flagship, his mind racing with desperation. The coalition he had worked so hard to build was crumbling before his eyes. Species that had once pledged loyalty were now questioning his leadership, accusing him of leading them into a disaster. Supplies dwindled, ships drifted apart, and morale among the invaders plummeted. For the first time, Zorath began to doubt whether victory was even possible. On Earth, Samantha Brooks noticed the change in the aliens' behavior. Their attacks, once relentless and coordinated, had become sporadic and chaotic. Some ships retreated entirely, vanishing into deep space without explanation. Others lingered but avoided engaging human forces directly. It was clear. The invaders were losing faith in their mission and in each other. Samantha saw an opportunity. She gathered her team, including Ethan Carter and Maria Lopes, for a meeting. "They're breaking," she said, pointing to a map showing the scattered positions of alien ships. "We've pushed them to their limit. If we keep pressing, they might crack completely." Ethan nodded. "Their unity is gone," he added. "If we can hit them hard enough now, they'll have no choice but to surrender." Maria suggested taking psychological warfare to the next level. Using intercepted communications, she created fake messages suggesting that Zorath himself was planning to abandon the weaker species in the coalition. These messages were broadcast directly to the alien fleet, sowing even more distrust. Soon, rumors spread like wildfire. Some species accused Zorath of betrayal, while others refused to follow his orders altogether. Zorath tried to regain control, but it was too late. His authority had eroded, and the coalition was falling apart. Desperate, he ordered one final, massive assault on Earth's defenses, hoping to crush humanity once and for all. But the attack never materialized. Ships assigned to the operation either ignored the order or turned on each other, convinced they were being set up to fail. As chaos consumed the alien fleet, a small delegation approached Earth with a shocking request. They wanted to negotiate peace. Zorath himself led the group, though he looked nothing like the confident leader who had issued threats weeks earlier. His posture was slouched, his expression weary. He arrived at a neutral location, a barren stretch of desert designated for talks, accompanied by representatives from several species. Samantha and Ethan met them, flanked by armed guards. The tension in the air was palpable. Zorath spoke first, his voice trembling. We wish to discuss terms of surrender," he admitted, avoiding eye contact. "Your resistance has been unexpected. We underestimated you." Samantha didn't gloat. Instead, she listened carefully as the aliens outlined their proposal. They offered reparations, advanced technology, resources, and promises to leave Earth alone forever. In return, they begged for mercy, asking humanity not to pursue revenge or retaliation. Ethan studied their faces, searching for sincerity. He knew this moment was historic. Humanity had fought back against overwhelming odds and forced a powerful enemy to its knees. But the decision ahead was crucial. Would they show compassion, or would they demand justice? Back home, news of the negotiations spread quickly. People reacted in different ways. Some cheered, celebrating the end of the war. Others demanded harsh penalties for the invaders, arguing they deserved punishment for the destruction they had caused. Jake Harper, watching the news in his workshop, felt conflicted. "They hurt us bad," he muttered to himself. "But maybe it's better to let them go. Fighting more won't bring anyone back." The world waited anxiously as Samantha and Ethan considered the aliens' offer. Whatever decision they made would shape the future, not just for Earth, but for the galaxy. Humanity had proven its strength, but now it faced a new challenge: deciding how to wield that power wisely. Back on the alien fleet, things were falling apart. Zorath called yet another meeting with the leaders of the coalition, but this time, the atmosphere was tense. The once united group of species now argued openly, their voices sharp and accusing. Some blamed others for poor planning, while others complained about the heavy losses they had suffered. A few even suggested pulling out of the war altogether. Zorath tried to maintain control, but it was becoming harder by the day. "We cannot abandon this mission," he shouted, slamming his fist on the table. "If we retreat now, humanity will see us as weak. They will come after us next." But his words didn't calm anyone. The cracks in their alliance were too deep. One species, the Varnuk, accused the Krylos of hoarding resources and not sharing them fairly. Another, The Trelkans claimed they had been sent into dangerous missions without proper backup. Accusations flew back and forth, and soon the meeting dissolved into chaos. Zorath watched helplessly as his carefully constructed coalition began to crumble. Meanwhile, Ethan Carter intercepted more communications from the alien fleet. With Maria Lopez's help, they pieced together fragments of conversations that revealed just how divided the invaders were. It seemed some species were considering breaking away from the coalition entirely. Others were secretly negotiating with one another, trying to avoid blame for the war's failures. Ethan shared these findings with Samantha Brooks, who immediately saw an opportunity. "Their unity is their greatest strength," she said, leaning over a map covered in notes and markers. "If we can break it completely, they'll fall apart." Samantha devised a plan to exploit these divisions further. Using Maria's hacking skills, they'd broadcast fake messages directly to specific alien species. These messages played on existing fears and suspicions, making each group believe the others were planning betrayal. To the Varnock, they sent recordings suggesting the Krylos intended to seize all remaining resources for themselves. To the Trelkans, they hinted that the Varnock were plotting to leave the coalition, leaving them vulnerable. The strategy worked better than expected. Alien commanders began questioning the loyalty of their allies, refusing to share intelligence or coordinate attacks. Supply lines broke down as species prioritized their own survival over the mission. Even within individual ships, crew members grew distrustful of one another, leading to arguments and delays. On Earth, the effects of this psychological warfare became clear. Alien attacks grew less frequent and less coordinated. Ships that once moved in perfect formation now drifted apart, their crews unsure of what to do next. In some cases, entire squadrons abandoned their positions, retreating to safer parts of space. Humanity seized the opportunity, launching counterattacks that pushed the invaders further back. Jake Harper noticed the change when he repaired a damaged alien transport ship. Inside, he found crates of supplies left behind: food, weapons, and medical equipment. It was a sign that the aliens were struggling to hold their ground. "They're running out of options," Jake told his team as they unloaded the cargo. "We're wearing them down." Even civilians felt the shift. News reports highlighted victories on multiple fronts, boosting morale across the planet. People celebrated every success, no matter how small, knowing they were closer to winning the war. Schools held ceremonies to honor fallen heroes, while factories doubled production to support the troops. Everyone contributed, knowing their efforts were making a difference. As weeks passed, Zorath grew increasingly desperate. He ordered harsher tactics, including targeting civilian areas in hopes of breaking humanity's spirit. But instead of causing fear, these attacks only strengthened Earth's resolve. Survivors banded together, vowing to fight harder than ever. Even children joined the effort, building decoys and spreading propaganda to confuse the enemy. In the end, Zorath realized his mistake too late. By underestimating humanity's adaptability and unity, he had doomed his mission. The invaders' internal divisions made them weaker, while Earth stood stronger than ever. As the alien fleet faltered, one thing became clear. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival, it was proving it could overcome any challenge. And the aliens, once confident conquerors, now faced the grim reality of defeat. The tide of the war began to shift. Humanity's relentless resistance and growing ability to counter alien technology started paying off in ways no one had imagined. Captured alien ships were no longer just trophies. They became tools. Engineers worked tirelessly to repair and repurpose them, turning them into weapons against their former owners. Pilots trained to fly these advanced vessels, learning how to navigate their complex systems and unleash their full potential. For the first time, humanity had a real chance to strike back. One breakthrough came when Ethan Carter and his team managed to decode the alien shield technology. They discovered that the shields operated on predictable frequencies, which could be disrupted with the right kind of interference. Armed with this knowledge, human forces developed devices capable of disabling alien defenses temporarily. These shield disruptors gave Earth's fighters a critical edge in battle, allowing them to target enemy ships and ground units more effectively. Commander Ryan Mitchell, leading Earth's defense force, wasted no time putting the new technology to use. He launched a series of daring raids aimed at cutting off the invaders' supply lines. Using retrofitted alien ships and shield disruptors, his teams infiltrated key locations, destroying fuel depots, weapon caches, and communication hubs. Each successful mission weakened the alien fleet further, leaving them scrambling to recover. Maria Lopes played a vital role in these operations. Her hacking skills allowed her to monitor alien movements and predict their next steps. She also planted false orders, sending alien reinforcements to the wrong places or delaying their arrival at critical moments. Once, she hacked into an alien cargo ship's navigation system, causing it to crash into one of their own cruisers. The explosion was massive, taking out 2 ships and creating chaos in the enemy ranks. Back on the ground, ordinary people continued to rise to the occasion. Jake Harper, now a local hero, led a group of volunteers tasked with maintaining captured alien vehicles. His team worked day and night, ensuring the machines stayed operational for the next mission. When a hovercraft malfunctioned during a crucial operation, Jake risked his life to fix it under heavy fire, earning him a medal from the military. Though he didn't care much for awards, others saw his bravery as proof of humanity's unbreakable spirit. Even children found ways to help. In schools across the world, students designed decoys to confuse alien forces. Some built fake tanks and trucks out of wood and metal, painting them to look like real vehicles. Others created noise generators that mimicked the sound of approaching armies, tricking aliens into wasting resources on empty fields. Every little effort mattered, and everyone felt like they were part of something bigger. As casualties mounted on both sides, morale among the aliens plummeted. Zorath struggled to keep his coalition together, but tensions between species grew worse. Arguments erupted over strategy, resource allocation, and leadership decisions. Some factions accused others of holding back during battles, while others demanded retreat. The once united fleet began to fracture, its members losing faith in the mission and in each other. Humanity, on the other hand, grew stronger. Soldiers fought with renewed vigor, knowing they were making progress. Civilians cheered every victory, however small, finding hope in the face of devastation. Cities destroyed by alien attacks were rebuilt quickly, fortified with new defenses and powered by salvaged alien tech. Even in the darkest moments, there was a sense of unity and purpose unlike anything Earth had ever seen. Samantha Brooks watched all of this unfold with quiet pride. She knew the war wasn't over, but the momentum had shifted. Humanity was proving itself far more resilient than anyone, human or alien, had expected. "We're not just surviving," she told Ethan one evening after reviewing battle reports. "We're winning." Ethan nodded, gazing at the stars through the lab window. "They thought we'd be easy prey," he said softly. "But we showed them what happens when you mess with Earth." Outside, the sounds of construction and preparation filled the air. People worked together, determined to protect their home. The scars of war were everywhere, but so was hope. Humanity had faced impossible odds and refused to give up. As the alien fleet faltered, one truth became clear. Earth wasn't just fighting for survival. It was fighting for its place in the galaxy. And it wasn't going to lose without a fight. Weeks passed, and the war raged on. The aliens quickly realized that humanity wasn't going to back down. Every time they launched an attack, humans responded with surprising speed and creativity. They adapted to alien strategies almost instantly, finding ways to counter weapons and tactics that should have overwhelmed them. It was becoming clear, Earth was not an easy target. One of the biggest surprises for the invaders was how quickly humanity learned to use their technology. After capturing a damaged alien ship, scientists and engineers worked around the clock to take it apart. Ethan Carter spent long hours in a secure lab, studying every piece of alien tech he could get his hands on. He discovered that their weapons relied on energy fields far more advanced than anything humans had built, but not impossible to understand. With Maria Lopez's help, they managed to replicate parts of the alien systems, upgrading human weapons to match the invaders' firepower. The results were dramatic. Soldiers on the front lines began carrying rifles capable of piercing alien shields. Fighter jets equipped with reverse-engineered alien engines soared through the sky, outmaneuvering enemy ships. Even tanks received upgrades, their armor now strong enough to withstand direct hits from alien plasma cannons. Slowly but surely, humanity started gaining ground. Maria played a key role beyond just hacking alien communications. Her skills allowed her to infiltrate their networks, planting false orders and misleading messages. Once, she tricked an entire squadron of alien drones into attacking an empty desert, wasting valuable resources. Another time, she rerouted supply shipments meant for alien troops, leaving them stranded without reinforcements. Her work turned the tide in several battles, earning her praise from commanders and soldiers alike. On the battlefield, ordinary people continued to make extraordinary contributions. Jake Harper, who once fixed tractors, now repaired high-tech vehicles under fire. His garage had become a makeshift workshop filled with tools, spare parts, and half-finished projects. When a group of soldiers brought him a damaged hovercraft they'd salvaged from the aliens, Jake didn't hesitate. He studied its design, figured out how it worked, and got it running again, all within hours. By the end of the day, the hovercraft was back in action, giving human forces a crucial edge. Even civilians found ways to contribute. In cities still standing, neighborhoods organized themselves into support networks. People shared food, medicine, and shelter with those in need. Kids helped gather scrap metal, turning old appliances and cars into raw materials for new weapons. Teachers trained students in first aid, preparing them to assist wounded soldiers. Everyone did what they could, knowing that every small effort added up. The aliens grew increasingly frustrated. Zorath called emergency meetings with his coalition, demanding explanations for why humanity kept resisting. "They are primitive," he shouted during one heated discussion. "How can they adapt so quickly? How can they fight back when we hold all the advantages?" No one had answers. For the first time, cracks began to form in the unity of the alien fleet. Some species argued for pulling back, while others pushed for more aggressive tactics. Disagreements turned into arguments, and arguments threatened to spiral into chaos. Back on Earth, Samantha Brooks noticed these signs of division. Intelligence reports showed delays in alien attacks, missed opportunities, and even friendly fire incidents among their own ships. She realized the invaders weren't as united as they seemed. "We've been focusing on their technology," she told Ethan during a late-night meeting. "But maybe their real weakness isn't their weapons, it's their teamwork." Samantha devised a plan to exploit these divisions. Using Maria's hacking skills, they'd broadcast fake messages directly to the alien fleet. These messages suggested betrayal within their ranks, accusing certain species of hoarding resources or withholding critical information. The goal was simple: sow distrust and paranoia. It worked better than anyone expected. Alien commanders began questioning each other's motives, and cooperation broke down further. As the conflict dragged on, humanity's resilience inspired awe and fear. The aliens had underestimated Earth, assuming its people would crumble under pressure. Instead, they faced a planet determined to survive at any cost. Cities burned, lives were lost, and sacrifices mounted, but humanity refused to yield. Each victory, no matter how small, fueled their determination. They were proving something to themselves and to the galaxy. Earth was worth fighting for. The day finally came when the alien fleet appeared in the sky. It was a sight no one would ever forget. Massive ships, each one larger than a city, descended from space, blotting out the sun. Their metallic surfaces shimmered like liquid silver, reflecting the light in eerie patterns. The sheer size of the fleet made humanity's defenses look tiny by comparison. For a moment, it felt as though the entire world held its breath. Zorath, the leader of the alien coalition, wasted no time. His voice boomed across every radio and television channel on Earth, translated into hundreds of languages through advanced technology. "Humans," he began, his tone cold and commanding, "you have been deemed a threat to the galaxy. Surrender now, or face destruction." The message was clear. There would be no negotiations, no second chances. The aliens saw humanity as nothing more than pests to be crushed. But humanity didn't surrender. Instead, they responded with defiance. From military bases around the globe, missiles streaked into the sky, targeting the nearest alien ships. Explosions lit up the atmosphere, sending shockwaves rippling through the air. At first, it seemed like the attack had little effect. The alien vessels were heavily armored, designed to withstand far worse. But then, something unexpected happened. One of the smaller ships faltered, its shields flickering before collapsing entirely. A direct hit from a human missile tore through its hull, sending it crashing to the ground in flames. The aliens were caught off guard. They had expected an easy victory, believing humans to be weak and disorganized. What they hadn't anticipated was the sheer determination and ingenuity of their opponents. Using guerrilla tactics, small teams of human fighters launched surprise attacks, striking quickly and retreating before the aliens could retaliate. In mountainous regions, soldiers used the terrain to their advantage, setting up ambushes that left alien forces confused and vulnerable. Urban areas became battlegrounds, with civilians turning abandoned buildings into fortresses. Samantha Brooks oversaw much of the operation, coordinating efforts from a command center buried deep underground. Her calm demeanor masked the chaos unfolding around her. Maps covered the walls, dotted with markers showing the locations of alien forces and human defenses. She issued orders with precision, ensuring resources were distributed where they were needed most. When reports came in of successful strikes against the invaders, she allowed herself a brief smile, but only for a moment. There was still so much work to do. Ethan Carter watched the battle unfold from a safe distance, his heart pounding as explosions lit up the horizon. He wasn't a soldier, but he felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. If not for his discovery of the alien signal, humanity might have been caught completely unprepared. Now he worked alongside engineers, helping them analyze data from captured alien tech. Each breakthrough brought new possibilities: improved weapons, stronger shields, faster vehicles. Humanity was learning, adapting, and fighting back harder than anyone thought possible. Even ordinary people played crucial roles. Jake Harper, the farmer turned mechanic, found himself repairing damaged aircraft under heavy fire. His hands moved quickly, patching bullet holes and replacing parts with whatever he could find. Nearby, Maria Lopes, a young hacker from New York, tapped into alien communication networks, feeding critical information back to Samantha's team. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as lines of code scrolled across the screen, disrupting enemy signals and creating confusion among their ranks. Despite these victories, the cost was high. Cities crumbled under relentless bombardment, and countless lives were lost. Families huddled in underground shelters, praying for survival. Hospitals overflowed with wounded soldiers and civilians, their cries echoing through crowded corridors. Yet even in the face of such devastation, hope remained alive. Humanity refused to give up, refusing to let fear dictate their actions. As the first wave of attacks subsided, Zorath grew visibly frustrated. He hadn't anticipated this level of resistance. The humans weren't just surviving. They were fighting back with everything they had. For the first time, doubt crept into his mind. Perhaps enslaving Earth wouldn't be as simple as he'd imagined. Samantha Brooks wasted no time after confirming Ethan's discovery. She knew humanity's survival depended on swift action, and she wasn't about to let fear or doubt slow her down. Within days, she organized a series of emergency meetings with leaders from every corner of the globe. It wasn't easy. Governments were hesitant to share resources or trust one another, but Samantha's calm yet firm demeanor helped bridge the gaps. "We don't have the luxury of division," She told them, "If we don't stand together now, there won't be a tomorrow." The world listened. For the first time in history, nations set aside their differences and pooled their strengths. Factories that once produced cars and appliances shifted to manufacturing weapons and defense systems. Scientists collaborated across borders, sharing knowledge and ideas to develop new technologies. Even ordinary people stepped up, volunteering their skills and time to support the war effort. Farmers like Jake Harper, who had never held a weapon before, learned how to operate drones and repair damaged equipment. Teachers turned classrooms into workshops, teaching students how to build decoys and camouflage shelters. Ethan Carter found himself at the center of this global movement. His expertise in astrophysics made him invaluable, but it was his quiet determination that truly inspired those around him. He worked tirelessly alongside teams of engineers, helping them reverse engineer fragments of alien tech recovered from earlier probes. Though incomplete, these pieces provided crucial insights into the invaders' technology. Slowly but surely, humanity began to level the playing field. Meanwhile, Samantha focused on strategy. She studied maps, analyzed terrain, and devised plans to maximize Earth's natural defenses. Unlike the aliens, who relied heavily on advanced weaponry and brute force, humans had something far more valuable: adaptability. Samantha emphasized guerrilla tactics, encouraging small, mobile units to strike quickly and retreat before the enemy could respond. She also pushed for the use of decoys, fake bases and vehicles designed to lure alien forces into traps. As preparations intensified, so did the sense of urgency. Reports poured in from observatories around the world, tracking the movement of the alien fleet. The ships were massive, dwarfing anything humanity had ever built. Their sleek, metallic surfaces glinted ominously in the light of distant stars. Every day brought them closer to Earth, and every hour counted. Back home, life changed dramatically. Cities dimmed their lights to avoid detection, while rural areas buzzed with activity as makeshift fortifications sprang up. Families said tearful goodbyes to loved ones, heading off to training camps. Children learned survival skills in school, practicing drills in case of an attack. Fear lingered in the air, but it was matched by a fierce resolve. People refused to give up without a fight. Jake Harper felt this shift firsthand. A farmer from Nebraska, he'd always lived a simple life, tending to crops and livestock. But when the call went out for volunteers, he didn't hesitate. "I may not know much about fighting aliens," he told his wife, "but I know how to fix things. If I can help keep our planes in the sky or our trucks on the road, then that's what I'll do." True to his word, Jake spent long hours in dusty garages, retrofitting tractors into armored transports and welding scrap metal into crude weapons. Even children played a role. In schools across the country, teachers encouraged creativity, asking students to design tools or strategies that might aid the war effort. One class came up with the idea of using mirrors to reflect sunlight, creating blinding flashes to disorient alien pilots. Another group suggested coating rooftops with reflective paint to confuse heat-seeking missiles. While not all ideas were practical, they reminded everyone that even the smallest contributions mattered. As weeks passed, humanity transformed. What started as panic evolved into purpose. People worked tirelessly, driven by the belief that they could win, not because they were stronger or smarter, but because they had something the aliens lacked: unity. Together, they prepared for the battle of their lives, knowing full well the stakes couldn't be higher. The aliens might have superior technology, but humanity had heart. And that was a weapon no one could predict. Ethan Carter was just another ordinary man living in Colorado, working as an astrophysicist at a small research facility. His days were filled with numbers, charts, and endless hours staring into the vastness of space through telescopes. He wasn't famous or powerful, but he had a quiet determination that drove him to keep searching for answers. Little did he know, his life was about to change forever. One cold night, while analyzing data from a deep space probe, Ethan noticed something unusual. A strange signal, unlike anything he'd ever seen before, was coming from a distant part of the galaxy. At first, he thought it might be interference or some glitch in the equipment. But as he dug deeper, the truth became impossible to ignore. The signal wasn't random. It was a message, and it wasn't meant for Earth. Curiosity turned into alarm when Ethan realized what the message contained. It was a recording of a meeting, a galactic council made up of alien species from across the stars. They spoke in a language that sounded harsh and guttural, but advanced translation software helped Ethan piece together their words. What he heard chilled him to the bone. The aliens were discussing Earth. They talked about humanity's rapid technological advancements, mentioning things like nuclear weapons, satellite networks, and even early attempts at space exploration. To them, humans weren't seen as peaceful beings trying to understand the universe. Instead, they viewed humanity as a threat, dangerous, unpredictable, and too ambitious for its own good. Then came the vote. Each species took turns casting their decision, and one by one, they all agreed. Earth needed to be enslaved. The reasoning varied among them. Some feared humanity would eventually become too powerful to control. Others saw Earth as a resource-rich planet worth conquering. A few even argued that enslaving humans would prevent future conflicts. Whatever their reasons, the outcome was unanimous. Earth was marked for subjugation. Ethan sat frozen in his chair, heart pounding. He knew this wasn't just science fiction. It was real. These aliens weren't characters in a movie. They were actual beings planning to invade his home. Panic crept in, but he quickly pushed it aside. If no one else knew about this, then it was up to him to warn the world. The next morning, Ethan reached out to Samantha Brooks, a military strategist stationed at NORAD. She was known for her sharp mind and ability to think on her feet. When Ethan explained what he'd discovered, she listened intently, though skepticism flickered in her eyes. "You're telling me aliens are planning to attack us?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "I'm telling you they've already decided," Ethan replied firmly. "They're probably months away from launching their invasion." Samantha didn't waste time doubting him. She knew Ethan was credible, and if there was even a chance his discovery was true, they couldn't afford to ignore it. Together, they compiled the evidence and presented it to top government officials. At first, many dismissed it as paranoia or wild speculation. But when undeniable proof emerged, decoded messages and coordinates pointing to alien fleets preparing to mobilize, the room fell silent. News of the impending invasion spread like wildfire. Governments around the world scrambled to prepare. Military bases went on high alert. Scientists worked around the clock to develop new technologies, and ordinary citizens braced themselves for the worst. Fear gripped the planet, but so did determination. Humanity may have been caught off guard, but they weren't going down without a fight. As Ethan looked up at the night sky, he felt a mix of dread and resolve. Somewhere out there, countless alien ships were gathering, ready to descend upon Earth. But here on the ground, people were uniting in ways he'd never imagined possible. For the first time in history, the entire planet stood together, facing a common enemy. Whether they could win remained uncertain. But one thing was clear: humanity wasn't going to surrender easily.